This is your most asked questions on the Volkswagen ID.3. So we've made about 5 videos or so now on the EV driver channel, and you guys have been leaving lots and lots of questions for us down in the comments. Some of those I'm able to get to on the comments and literally reply to them. Others I'm not able to get to, or perhaps are just too long-winded to be able to answer in a comment. So I thought I'd do a little video on answering your most kind of common questions that I get asked down in the comments. So let's get started. First question is nice and easy. It is, what spec of ID.3 do you have? Now, when we created this channel, a lot of the ID.3s around were first editions. This is actually the Life edition, which in the UK is the cheapest one you can buy. This is the kind of base level model, if you like, with at the time the base level battery size. So it is the Pro, I believe, which is the 58 kilowatt battery with around about 150 kilowatts, about 200 horsepower or so off the top of my head. So it's really in the UK the most basic model. I'm sure, you know, as time goes on, this will not be the most basic model because it does have quite a lot of options on it, really. But this is kind of, as you see it, is at the time that we purchased it, the most basic model you could get. Conrad Night Socks Knight says, which model and how much? So of course, as I already mentioned, this is the Life. It is the cheapest edition in the UK. In the UK, it is, I believe it's like £29,990 is what we paid for, you know, if we would have paid cash, because that's after the government grant, which I think is about £4,000. So not bad, just under 30,000. I'm interested to see when they release the lower range battery options, where that will drop the price even further, perhaps even do a more basic version than the Life. I know they do in Germany, they do I can't remember what it's called now, but they do like a more basic version of the Life where it doesn't have so many options. And perhaps if they can get down to sort of £25,000, that then really gets into the sort of Golf era, Golf sort of range of prices. Obviously Golf's can pay 30,000, but I bought a GTD a few years ago, a Golf, and that was about 30,000. So really, to call this Golf prices, you're looking at a top end Golf for the base level ID.3. But you know, you're paying for a huge battery that's got really good range, and you pay a lot less on fuel as well. So once you factor in the fuel, I would say probably this does cost around about the same price as the Golf. A question from Philip Parance is, what seat covers do we have? Well, actually, these seat covers are completely standard. This is just the seats in the ID.3. You'll have probably seen from the accessories videos that the accessories that we do have, like the floor mats, apologies for the dirt there, we do need to clean them, but we go on regular dog walks, so there's not much point cleaning them too often. But the seat covers, yeah, it's not covers, it is just the seat. So this is just what they look like in the Life model. Adam asks, did we go for the heat pump option? Again, this may have been made clear with the most recent video I did, where I said that the winter range was awful, but no, we did not go for the heat pump option. That is about, I think it's £1,250 in the UK. It's quite an expensive add-on actually, but it does, according to Volkswagen, make the range up to 30% better in wintry conditions, because it just makes it more efficient to heat the cabin. We didn't go for it, so we've got the normal resistive heater. And as I said in the awful winter range video, that we actually use about 5 kilowatts of power or so to heat the cabin, 5 or 6 kilowatts of power. So it is quite a powerful heater, the resistive heater in the ID.3. So I would recommend, guys, if you can afford it, probably do go for the heat pump. It does really help the range in the winter months. Orlando Knights asks, do you still like it? Obviously quite a big question, but I would say the answer is yes. We definitely don't regret getting the car. As you can see, it's done just over 1,000 miles now, 1,040 miles. We don't do a huge amount of miles, but no, we don't really regret it in any way. You know, the software could definitely be better. There's a few other little improvements that I'd make. It's hard to list them all now, but for the most part, it is a solid car. If you're looking for a solid car, this is just like any Volkswagen, really. You know, everything's solid. You know, the door close is always a thing that's said to be really solid on the Volkswagens. There you go, nice and solid. So it doesn't have any of the kind of build quality issues that Tesla has. So in terms of hardware, in terms of the physical car, really solid. In terms of the driving, also really solid. You know, we're really impressed with how well it drives, and all the software systems attached to the driving, things like the regenerative braking all works really well. For the most part, very good. It's still, I would say, early days though. So I'd say if you want a really well advanced, a really well polished car, don't get the ID.3 just yet. There's a lot of software changes I think they will make. The software works, it's not bad, it's not too buggy, but there's lots of optimizations that they could make that would just improve the performance generally of the software. So I would say, yeah, if you're looking for a kind of a well-established car, don't go for the ID.3, but if you're looking for a solid electric car, that also is a really nice introduction to EVs, because it is very much designed to be a lot like a combustion engine car in the, you know, in the way it drives, in that, for example, when you come off the throttle, come off the brake, it does just naturally move away, as if a normal combustion engine automatic would do. It has got auto hold, of course, controls to stop that. All those sort of things. It does drive a lot like a combustion engine automatic car. So if you're looking for a kind of an easy gateway into EVs, I would say that the ID.3 probably is a really good car for you. Nick Blue says, can you guys show the hubcaps and the steel wheels? Yes, absolutely, you're seeing them now, but I don't love the wheels, but also I don't hate them. I mean, they're obviously a bit basic because they are just the steel wheels with the hubcaps on it, as you say, but you know, I would like some nice alloys, or you know, like aero wheels like the Tesla's got, something that looks a little bit better. But I don't hate them. I think they're designed as well as they could be, considering their hubcaps, which, you know, it's been a while since I've owned a car with hubcaps, to be honest, because alloy wheels has become pretty standard. But of course, they're trying to make it the most aero efficient as they can, which is why they've opted for the steel wheels and the hubcaps, and also saves a bit of cost. I don't love them, but also I don't hate them. Keith Garton says, hi Alex, I have my media music files on a USB stick. I know the ID.3 has a USB-C type, so I will need an adapter to plug in my USB, but will the music files play through any of the USB slots in the vehicle? On my previous car, there were 3 USB slots, but only one would allow playback of the media files. Thanks for your help. Apologies for the delay, Keith, in getting back to you, but that is the point of this video. So I've actually done a little test here. So I've got 2 memory sticks here. One is formatted on FAT32. This is just a 16 gigabyte memory stick. Like I said, formatted FAT32, so you'd expect that one to work. That one does work fine. But this one here is a much bigger 64 gigabyte stick that it's formatted to exFAT, which is obviously a much more modern format. And that also works. You can see here I've just got a Samsung adapter on the end of it that just came with my phone. And if you plug it into either of these ports down here, let me get down there a little bit closer. There we go, with the mints. Both of these work. So you can see they both got the USB icon, so they both do work. So if I plug that into there, interestingly, you don't get any kind of notification on here that anything's been plugged in, which again, a little software flaw is too harsh for a word, but you know what I mean. You know, that could do with some improvement. But if you go into media, you can see this is the media. So if we go right back out, so this is, again, it's not great, this interface. I imagine they'll improve it in time, but it does still work. So we've got Bluetooth and My Media. So if I go into My Media, you can see we've got music, videos, playlists, and then it shows what's actually connected. So that's my phone connected to Android Auto, which would presume, that would literally just play whatever you play through Android Auto. So so Spotify, for example. Then you've got the USB, which you've got plugged in, which has only appeared now. I can show that by unplugging it down here, which will then disappear. There we go. And I'll plug it back in now. Takes a few seconds apparently to appear, and there it is. So it's a pretty quick connection, but then that will just literally browse the USB for what is on it. This is a 3 files I put on as a test. You can see all 3 show up and all 3 are playable, which is really cool. So I've got a Craig David MP3 there, which just plays perfectly as you'd expect. It's actually not playing now, there you go. Plays perfectly as you'd expect. Got a Florence and the Machine M4A file, which, yes, does eventually play fine, no problem at all. And I've got a Tame Impala MP4 file here, because of course we do have quite a big screen, and realistically sometimes you're sat in the car waiting for it to charge. So I thought, I wonder if an MP4 works. And interestingly, it actually does. It works perfectly. If I get that to play. Now, interestingly though, for starters, again, another little software flaw, this little bar here is how you drag out the player, which obviously when you're driving along you don't want to be doing, but although you won't be watching MP4 when you're playing, you can see that drags out the music player there. It's just a bit small to drag, it's a bit silly, they need to improve that. You can see here, if I press play, it plays fine. You can hear it there. I will turn it down so I don't get demonetized, but it does play fine. The video's not playing now, but again, little software improvement. When I first plugged this in and first played it, it played fine. It literally showed it on the screen, the actual video, which is awesome. There was a little minimize symbol, which I pressed. Then it went down to this, and there's no button to go back to the video. So, you know, MP4s do work, but clearly not very well optimized for MP4s at the moment. But they do work, they do play the video. But I would suggest don't rely on the ID.3 to play a video if you're going to go and charge for an hour or something. Don't rely on, don't put an MP4 on a USB, because if you get to this point, you know, there's no way for me to get back to the video screen. You know, tapping this. You know, none of it really works. This is just a notification panel. This brings us back to the media player. There's no way to actually get back to the video, even though it's playing a video file. Another thing is this media button here defaults to tracks for some reason. And you can back out and then you can see music. Oh, and now that's brought that up. So media file defaults to tracks. Go back out, that's the music, so different kind of albums, tracks, artists. Back again, then that brings you to the My Media where it first started. So again, you know, not a great interface for it, but it does function. And in videos, it does just show the Tame Impala again. If I try and play that, oh, Oh, I paused it. There you go. So it is now playing, but again, no way to see the video. I've even tried, like here, if I open the door, take my weight off the seat, the car thinks I've got out, it will kind of reset itself a little bit. The issue is the software system doesn't actually switch itself off for a number of minutes, so you can't just quickly reset it. But you know, I've reset it as much as I can without waiting 10 minutes. I then sit back down, close the door. There you go. It's all re-engaged, online mode, and it's exactly the same. There is no, oh, I pressed the wrong button, but there is no way to get the video back. It is just gone. So MP4s do work. Don't rely on them for now. Hopefully Volkswagen can update this whole interface just to be a bit more intuitive, because again, we're playing with MP4 here. If I press media, oh no, it does go to videos there. I tell a lie, yeah, it does go to media, so it defaults to whatever screen you're looking at. But it's just, this interface isn't very good. It's a very Volkswagen interface. They need to go more like the Tesla, where everything's a lot more intuitive, or you know, Android or Apple, that sort of thing, to really improve their interface. But there we go. That is the answer to the USB question. Yes, it does work on either of these ports down here. I will say as well, there is a couple of ports in the back, but I'm imagining these won't work. You can see they've just got the charging symbol there. I imagine these won't actually connect to the car, but let's plug it in and find out. So you've got the Android Auto there. No. So it's because you've got these symbols here. These are the USB symbols, of course. So those are the ones that are going to work. These are clearly just charging symbols in the back here. Get a bit closer to them so you can see them. I know they're upside down, but there you go. Those are the charging symbols. So either of these two do work fine, even with an adapter, but there is no other ports. James Hibbert says, nice video, subscribe. Thank you very much, James. Can't decide between a Model 3 and an ID.3. Getting one of them in the next few months. So I think if you're in the price range of an of a Model 3, probably go for the Model 3, honestly. I would have probably preferred a Model 3. I know I have not owned a Tesla before, so I can't comment too much on that. But Tesla are just so much further ahead in a lot of ways. The software seems way better in a Tesla. Obviously, all the self-driving stuff also seems way better. The over-the-air software updates, mainly software-wise, Tesla is a long way ahead of Volkswagen. Volkswagen is kind of only just ahead of the kind of legacy car maker software in their ID.3. But obviously the Tesla does have some you know, manufacturing faults, I suppose. They often have panels that don't quite fit and the quality isn't great. If you really care about absolute quality of the doors and the panels, ID.3 probably is better. For everything else, the Model 3 is probably going to be better. You know, just access to the supercharger network, honestly, that alone is probably worth buying a Tesla Model 3, just because, you know, it's so handy and they're so well upkept. Whereas, you know, now going a longer trip, we potentially struggle for chargers because some of them just don't work, and you know, a lot of them are maximum 50 kilowatts, so it's quite slow charging. There's a lot of reasons, but it is, you know, it's £40,000 for a Model 3. It's £30,000 for this ID.3. So you're talking, you know, what was that? 33% more cost. It's a significantly more expensive car. If you can afford either one, go for the Tesla, in my opinion. If you can only afford the ID.3, then the ID.3 is a really solid EV. Keith Garton is back again with another good question. Hi, can you tell me if you can fold in the wing mirrors whilst in the car? I know they power fold when locking, but I need them to fold in while driving into my garage. Yes, absolutely. Again, this is one of the ways that the ID.3 is a lot like a lot of other legacy car makers, or cars itself. Car models is the word I was looking for. So down here, like a lot of other cars, you've got the four options for left adjustment, right adjustment for the wing mirrors. You've then got the heated wing mirrors, and if I turn it again, it just goes to folded, and they should. Maybe the ignition's off. Do I have to? I think it's because the ignition's off. That's unusual. I thought that was just going to work. Maybe it's a bit more glitchy than I thought. There you go. The ignition was off. Clearly it only works when the ignition's on. I guess that applies to the windows and stuff, so that's kind of fair. So when you're on that symbol, they do fold in. Again, that's like every other car I've owned that's got power fold. But come back away from it, and there we go. Exactly the same as every other power folding mirror car. Nick Pinder says, great couple of videos. Hope there is more to come. Do you know if the Life model has auto high beam dipping? I think they call it light assist. So the Life model does not. So the Life model has a lot of features, honestly, you know, like adaptive cruise control, but it does not have, I don't know what you call it. Yeah, the high beam assist. I know exactly what you mean though. Where is it? It's this side. So I can flash, as you can see there, and in there, look, that's flashing. Again, you push it away to, they won't actually do it while we're parked. I think that might be because the lights are off actually. If I manually switch them on, there you go, you can see that they are just on there. And if I press mode, side light, that's how you toggle through things there. dip beam headlights. So now I think if you now push that away, now that is permanently on high beam. There's no kind of high beam assist in this, it is just a manual, but I've never actually had a high beam assist car, but I'm not too worried. Let me go back down to auto, there we go. I'm not too worried, but no, the Life does not have it. Callum James says, just curious, does the central screen not go into some sort of dark mode whilst you're driving in the dark? Seems quite bright in comparison to the rest of the controls with its light background. So obviously I will say that, you know, filming this on a GoPro, the GoPro is obviously naturally going to gravitate towards the lightest part of the screen, which is always going to be the screen. Having driven it at night, I haven't noticed that the screen's too bright. I don't really know whether it does auto brightness or not, but regardless, it's not too bright. I think the camera's picking that up. However, to answer your question, this is the screen here. So if I switch now the lights on manually, there you go. So we're now on headlights. Nothing happens. It is the same. There isn't an automatic light mode, to answer your question. However, let me just switch those back off, because that answers that question. If you go drag down here, you can see you've got screen brightness, nice and easy, accessible. Sorry, actually, that's light bar. Is that light bar? Oh God, there you go. I think that is just light bar. Yes, that is just light bar. Light, you can see it up there by moving about, and it's just kind of getting dimmer and brighter. So obviously that's one that you don't want to be too bright. But also here you have got a bright toggle. So if I go to dark, that turns the whole thing to dark mode, including in there. And it just, you can see there, it's loads darker. So you can manually toggle that, but I agree that would be something that would be nice if it toggled itself between bright and dark when you go to, you know, when the headlight switch on. It's nice and easy to do, right? I'm sure they will do that in a future software update, but for now, no, it doesn't automatically do it. But as I said, I have not actually had any issues with it being too bright in the dark. Mini Egg says, when you navigate using Android Auto or CarPlay, do you get turn directions on the driver display, or does it just say CarPlay or whatever? Thanks. So this is something I was actually really impressed with, because the answer is yes, it does. So if I go into here now, I should have Android Auto hopefully already connected. There we go, Android Auto. And now if here we go. So I'm just parked here while my girlfriend takes the dog for a walk. If I navigate to Preston Primary School, I don't really know what that is. There you go. So that's all working as you'd expect it to in Android Auto. It's closed today, fine, doesn't matter, we're just doing a test. And if I come over to here, there you go. That is the navigation. If I swipe that, so just showing you what I'm doing here. If I swipe that like that, you can kind of get a bigger view. Honestly, I don't really use that swipe feature. I think it's a bit of an over-engineered feature. I mean, I don't really, you know, that might be useful, but actually it just gives you more room here. It doesn't really help. And this, yeah, again, it's just making the arrow bigger. Like, well, it doesn't actually really help in any way doing that. But yeah, as you can see, that's just saying straightforward. It's got a little thing there saying what road we're on, you know, that all changes and stuff, which means it also will work with the head-up display. Obviously we don't have that in the Life model, but with the augmented reality head-up display, I don't know if it works with the augmented reality. Actually, that'd be a question for somebody that's got perhaps a first edition or a higher up model, but it definitely would work with the head-up display, because obviously if it's here, it can be in the head-up display as well. But yes, I was quite surprised it integrates with the car nicely. Obviously I can't comment on Apple CarPlay, unfortunately, but Android Auto, it certainly works, so I can't see why it wouldn't work with Apple CarPlay. Raxacorico, apologies if I've murdered your name there, says, Alex, in general, despite software problems, would you say that the ID.3 is a good buy at the moment? With further updates, hopefully over the air, it should get better. I'm planning to buy the Life version later this year. Above Life version, they install black side windows, which I don't like. Maybe I'll go for the Skoda version. So again, I've kind of covered this a little bit previously. At the moment, unless you're particularly keen on this model or there's not any other alternatives for you, it could do with some software updates. However, the software isn't awful. Like, don't get me wrong, the software is still pretty good. It's not like it's really buggy and like awful and breaks all the time. We have had a few bugs, annoying ones where like the parking sensors just stop working. But as soon as you get out and kind of, you know, go to another journey a couple hours later, it works perfectly. So I wouldn't worry too much about any gremlins. It is a Volkswagen car, right? So, you know, the wheels are solid, the doors are solid, the frame's solid, like everything about it is really solid. It is their first venture into a really big battery and that kind of thing, and the motor, but it's been great. So I wouldn't be put off buying it as such. But, you know, equally the software does need some work, but it does work as well as probably a Golf. Like, take a Golf software, this software is probably pretty much as good as Golf software now. It's just Volkswagen software, right? They're not a Silicon Valley company. Their software just isn't the best. But overall, yeah, a solid car. I would recommend buying it if it works with your price range and that kind of thing. And now we get on to the drama. So my recent video was the Volkswagen ID.3 range is awful in winter conditions. I still stand by that title. I still stand by that point. However, a lot of people disagree. It's honestly been some of the most negative comments I've had on any of my videos uploaded in a while, which is saying something considering my main channel. But you know, it is what it is. People are expressing their opinion. There was no real abusive comments, so you know, I'm not too worried. People are entitled to their opinion. However, I disagree. Let's run through a couple of comments before I kind of cover off my response to those. So Graham Boyce here says, many problems with this video. The title is misleading as these tests were only on very short runs. No real test tools used, e.g. OBD, to properly measure battery temperature. VW's console data stats are rounded and indicative. So, I mean, it's your opinion that title is misleading. I completely still stand by it. You mentioned yourself that the Volkswagen stats are indicative, which means they indicate the real figures. So I think they're fine to use, not to precisely measure things, but it's not like the consumption is going to double just by using OBD. Another one, you must change the title of this video. It is unbelievably misleading. To even state that the range is awful in the winter, you must do full runs over various distances. All you've done is proven what any real car enthusiast already knows: cars have a poor MPG or miles per kilowatt hour during cold and short journeys. Yes, that is right. Most car enthusiasts probably already know that. I started the video by saying most EV drivers probably would know this, but because I genuinely didn't. I am an EV driver. I'm new to the EV driver scene. I didn't know the range was going to potentially half on short journeys in the winter. It's an informational video. I'm sure some people do already know, but these videos are really aimed at more of a casual kind of EV owner or a more, you know, someone who doesn't even own an EV yet, a much more casual kind of person that's just perhaps getting into the EV market. So maybe these videos aren't for you. Another one here, I pity you see fit to indulge in a clickbaiting headline and introduction that are plain misleading. Don't need to say much on that one, I just disagree. Another one, this video is very misleading. The range is not awful, the range is poor for short journeys as the battery hasn't warmed up. Please change the title, you're misleading lots of people. So the title should be, the Volkswagen ID.3 range is poor for short journeys as the battery hasn't warmed up. It's not so good a title, is it? But again, I do still stand by the title. It's a matter of opinion, right? I think the range is awful. Saying it's poor, I mean, it's just a slightly less version of awful, right? It's not like I'm completely wrong. It's just a matter of opinion, and I do think it's awful in the winter. Another one here, I see your point about the short trips in cold weather having lower efficiency, but why does it matter? I'm not gonna read the rest of that, but obviously it might not matter to you, fine. It matters to us, that's mainly what we do. We mainly do short journeys, it matters to us. So, you know, there was a number of these comments. There's a slightly more positive one here. I can understand why you receive thumbs down for this video, but for me, it's a definite thumbs up. You've highlighted the real issue with the high battery heat up rate. An efficient car turns into an inefficient commuter. Slightly disagree with the last point there. I think if you commute, you probably travel far enough that it warms up in time and then it's actually more efficient. But for short journeys, it is quite inefficient. And everyone was almost saying like that's wrong and that you should test on longer journeys. Not everyone does longer journeys, especially for the Volkswagen ID.3, which is more aimed at shorter journeys. Now, just to really kind of cover off all these, I put quite a lot of thought into one of the comments that I left. I did a pinned comment, and I just want to read that one out because it pretty much sums up what I want to respond to the comments of that video. So I said, I should have said in the video, this is specifically a short journey test based on the actual journeys that we do 95% of the time. I formulated these tests based on our own real-world experiences, which at their worst were even worse than the findings in this test. You will of course get a better range if you do longer journeys as the car has had a chance to warm up, but this is rarely the case for us personally and for a majority of road users as the average journey length is 8.4 miles in the UK. That's true, I researched that. You will of course get better range, but not better power consumption if you preheat the car when plugged in at home. But as these cars get more mainstream, people without a driver or garage, us included, are not able to preheat their cars, they need to be plugged in. We live in a first floor flat. We can't have our car plugged in all the time. We can charge it at home, dangling cable out the window, but it's not great. And we definitely can't preheat it every day or overnight. That's just not a reality for most people. Or for about, I think it's about 40 or 60% of people at the moment in the UK just can't do that. Many people in the comments, who I suspect are high mileage early adopters, which by the way, you know, I think a majority of them are, so not necessarily indicative of the majority of people who are interested in ID.3, disagree with the tests we've performed here, but these tests are a genuine reflection of our use and experiences with the Volkswagen ID.3. Other people may have different experiences, but this video is correct and accurate for short journeys. So that really is me saying I absolutely stand by the video, I absolutely stand by the title. People disagree with it, people have different opinions, no problem at all. People who do longer journeys find better range, maybe even people have better cars, maybe my battery's a bit dodgy, the software's a bit dodgy, I don't know, but that was a genuine test of my genuine experiences based on my genuine mileage. I tend to do 3-mile journeys. I can tell you right now that this journey we've done here, I will show you. So I'm now, like I said, sat while my girlfriend takes the dog for a walk. This journey has been 4 miles. So this is probably one of the furthest we'd go for a typical dog walk. Obviously we'll go a bit further perhaps in the summer and when we're not in COVID times, but 4 miles. So we'll do 4 miles on the way back. That is an 8-mile round trip. See, this journey we have actually done 6 miles per kilowatt hour because we've had the heat seaters off, we've also had the in-cabin heater off, and it's warm enough, 11.5 degrees to not need the battery heater. So yeah, I mean, not too much more to say really. I mean, honestly, I think that comment covered it off, but hopefully you guys anyway have enjoyed this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed the reactions. I will be replying to the comments down in the comment section. So if you've got any further questions for me, I will probably spend the next perhaps week replying to any valid questions that you guys have got. So if you've got any further questions, leave them down in the comments, but don't forget to subscribe if you're new, guys, and I thank you for watching. Bye bye.